Silimahamanta. So I made a mistake in my Harry's video. Not a big mistake, here it is.
Martone.
So this metatasapenten, that's supposed to mean we can go away, is not the form I should have used in the video, because this is only a norm in the Old Babylonian period. And since I am trying to approximate something earlier, this is definitely not the form I should have used. Let's start with this first element, me. This practically means us. You will find this as a prefix, which is not true. These things are not prefixes in Sumerian. Sumerian verbal forms actually do not have prefixes. What they have are more precisely called ambifixes. An ambifix is a morpheme that can be classified as an affix, but its position to the stem is not always the same. So for example, in case of Sumerian, in some cases, in some contexts, these morphemes are attached to the beginning of the stem, which would make them prefixes, but in other situations they are attached to the end of the stem, which in those particular contexts would make them suffixes. This is not something strange or extreme. If you speak any modern Romance language like Italian, Spanish, maybe French, or if you speak Macedonian, or maybe there are many other languages too that do this. I'm going to show you exactly how it works in practice. Then you are using this concept regularly. The only difference is that these morphemes in languages like Spanish or Italian are not generally classified as any kind of affix, with the exception of some particularly theory-heavy works. These are just called pronouns or maybe clitics. It's a very deep rabbit hole what the difference between affixes and clitics are, and how these ambifixes can be handled as some gray area. I generally just call these things clitics, especially because I want it to look less intimidating. So what I'm going to do now is something that regularly happens in other languages, the ones I mentioned earlier. Let's take a verb. The best one I can think of is to eat, which in Sumerian is ku. Okay, I screwed it up a little. It should be much larger so it can be actually seen. But these are supposed to be 4 tiny lines, and there is another one here. I'm going to put it on the screen so it's going to be more visible. So this sign here is kak, which means mouth, and if I put the sign of ning, which is thing, into the sign of mouth, then what we get is ku, to eat. Now you are eating, or you are going to eat, is shit. Okay, it's extremely ugly, but just accept it. Okay, this is what I generally read as kuyen, because this is ku and this is n. This can be used as an individual word sign, and in that case there exist other reconstructions with the in the beginning, so in that case it wouldn't be N, but maybe yen. I use it as yen. In that case it means Lord. In this case it's just a suffix at the end of the verb, and here is this extra e, and this extra e is what makes me put a y into it. This is why I say quien, and I put the stress here because this character is generally very consistently written as N. Maybe the extra E is not always there, but this character is almost exclusively used to write this, and it's not normally written as something like kun with the un sign. So the vowel is not ambiguous. There are other cases in Sumerian where the vowels are ambiguous. We're going to talk about that. And in those cases I assume the syllable to be unstressed. Here I think the stress has to be here, otherwise this would be ambiguous. And this quien is not a full verbal form. The Sumerian verbal form requires some affixoid to be present here, or maybe not here. For example, me. The me from here, which in cuneiform is written like this, and now it's me quien, like you are eating us. Okay, don't question my examples. Okay, accept them. That's it. This would not be very different in a Romance language. Okay, so in Spanish it would be, I don't speak Spanish, but it would definitely be nos something, and in Italian it would be, I don't know, I only know Latin, and it works with the other persons too. So you are eating me would be me something, and the Italian would be me something, and so on. And now if it is the imperative, it would look like this, and now it is come, and it means eat us. You don't see how? That's because this is ku and this is me. That's why. We can switch back to Latin letters. Ku, this little 7 here, is to specify this particular character with the mouth, with the thing in it. So it's me, ku. How should I write this? I'm gonna write it this way. Okay, we know what it is. This is you are eating us, me quien. You singular, of course, me quien, and eat us is just ku me. And this is exactly what happens in many languages. So there is nothing particularly insane or crazy here. And this is why these are ambifixes and not prefixes, and also since in other languages these are not called any kind of fixes at all, generally I applied that terminology to Sumerian, and this is why in Sumerian I tend to call these things just clitics or pronouns. But now you understand what these things are. And here these other things are not pronouns, but are still in the same category as these. Let's get back to our original word. This soup here is just the plural maru stem for the verb to go. We are going to talk about this hamtu maru thing in a different video. Now, let's just say this soup is the stem, and this enten here is just the verbal suffix to express the first person plural, so we have supenten, we go, we are going, more precisely, we are going or we are going to go. This ta affixoid or ambifix, this just means away, although you cannot just start a verb with ta. These things here require something before them to be attached to, and for that reason some scholars call these infixes absolutely incorrect. An infix goes inside a stem, not between two different morphemes. If it is between two separate morphemes, then it is definitely not an infix. It's the same thing as this, it just requires something to be before them. And so if you just want to go, well, if you just want to say that we are going to go away, the most neutral thing you can put into the verbal form that doesn't change anything, that leaves the core meaning as it is, but still produces a well-formed conjugated verb, it would be ip. Tasopenten would mean we're going to go away. And this thing, if you are learning Sumerian now, it might suggest that there is something you are going away from, but just do not make it difficult. You do not have to crowbar that into the translation. And of course, there are other words to express the meaning to leave. For example, the one that's normally transliterated as e3. I pronounce it as yeah because I follow Jagersman's reconstruction, and in his opinion, this sign, which so this precisely, this was pronounced as yeah originally. I'm convinced, so I pronounce this as yeah. This means to leave, but in this particular case I'm not talking about the change of state from being located in a place to being not located there, but the continuously increasing distance from the Amorites, especially from Copperhead. So, you know, it might be Hungarism, an unconscious Hungarism that just leaked into my Sumerian translation, but I feel like this is not the proper verb for that situation. That's why. Now, what we are dealing here, on the other hand, is not iptasopenten, but metatasopenten, and this meta here is what we are talking about, because this just means with us, and as such, metatasopenten would mean, as a literal translation, that we go away with us. But that doesn't make any sense, does it? Now, but in Sumerian it does, because in Sumerian this construction just means that we can go away. This is how Sumerian expresses the concept of being able to do something. You don't see how? That's because it's Sumerian. That's why. My mistake was that I didn't change this ta into tara, because if in early Sumerian you combine ta with ta, or ta with she, which is different. This is practically the opposite of ta, so we're going to talk about that later. So in these cases what we get is either tarata or tarashi, and for that reason what I should have said is again. I'm doing it again. I can't believe it. Okay, so Meteratespenten. N here, Meteratespenten. And also, eventually this ta becomes ra in certain situations, because this ta seems to change to ra between vowels. So if we have a ta, it eventually becomes ara. Probably even in early Sumerian I should weaken this consonant a little, because these changes do not happen overnight. So even back when it is phonologically considered a ta, maybe the pronunciation still moves towards some weaker, more sonorant consonant. I could imagine here some non-sibilant fricative, like this th. So for example, I could maybe pronounce it as Meteratespenten, which would be a bit closer to this here, but I definitely don't do this, so I do not change my t's to r's, even intervocally, but this th would make sense, especially in fast speech. For the vowels, I think these are reduced here, so Meteratespenten makes more sense than clear as like Meteratespenten or something. Especially because the spelling of this morpheme and some others too is not consistent. Sometimes these are spelled as they originally are, sometimes they just repeat the vowel from the previous or the next syllable, which suggests to me that there is some vowel reduction going on there. Most scholars consider these phenomena as some examples of vowel harmony. I don't, because I couldn't find any theory of vowel harmony that could describe this phenomenon. Not this one, of course, because I didn't write it that way, but what we can find in the sources. So I am not convinced that this is anything more than just an orthographic phenomenon, some artifact of indistinct, reduced, unstressed vowel sounds. We're going to talk about this in a later video, because there is a specific Old Sumerian phenomenon that can be very nicely described as a vowel harmony, when this thing would be written as Meteratespenten or something like that. And if I put an E there, in other cases maybe it is written as T, but only sometimes, because in other cases it's still Ta. So this cannot be described by any vowel harmony theory I'm aware of. It cannot be a consistently progressive vowel harmony, like something that goes from the previous syllable to the next one, because sometimes it happens the other way around. But it cannot be described as a regressive vowel harmony either, because, you know, it goes from here to there too. It cannot be described as something that goes from the stem to the suffixes, because it sometimes goes the other way around, and sometimes it doesn't even involve any kind of stem at all. It just goes around from one affix to another, from one direction or the opposite one, and it cannot even be described as a trigger target type of vowel harmony. Those kinds of vowel harmonies, which indeed does exist in Old Sumerian in some dialects, but this is certainly not this, because the same vowel behaves as trigger in some cases and as target in others. So in these vowel harmonies there are vowels that have some distinct features. For example, let's just make an absolutely hypothetical one. I'm just coming up with it real time. So let's say that the roundedness is a spreading feature in some hypothetical language. So we have a u and O as trigger vowels, and we have E, E, and A as target vowels. And now if we put any of these two together, for example, we put an U next to an, what should it be? Mu, P. There is some gibberish word. So this would change in this kind of vowel harmony into mu, tor, okay. But if I change the original order of the vowels and I say map tor, it would change into mop tor, because this feature always spreads from the dominant vowel to the target one. Sumerian doesn't do that either. It just I don't believe that this kind of vowel harmony that would apply here exists. I only consider that an orthographic phenomenon that reflects the unstressed quality of those vowel sounds, and so they are pronounced a bit reduced, and this is why I say metrat hasbenten.